I am 87 years old, and for most of my life there was a small, quiet ache I could not name, a feeling that something was missing from the life I was supposed to be living. But last winter, at my kitchen table, with a pencil stub and the back of an old seed catalog, I counted every place I had ever looked for that missing thing. The count was 12. 12 places, across nearly 70 years of looking, every one of them a confession. When I finished, I did not feel foolish, and I did not feel proud. I felt honest, maybe for the first time in years. Stay with me, and I will tell you all 12. Come in from the cold a while, and sit with an old man who has stopped searching. I'm not telling you my life was hard. It was not. I was blessed past deserving. I'm not telling you I was ungrateful, or that the people who loved me failed me, because they did not. The ache I carried was quieter than any of that. It followed me through good years and lean ones, a full house and an empty one. Have you ever stood in the middle of your own good life and wondered very softly why it did not feel like yours? My grandmother used to say a thing I did not understand until my own hair was white. She said her true things while she was working, so you had to stand close to hear them. She was sweeping one morning, I was 9, and she said, "A man can fill every room of his house and still not live in it." I laughed. Our house had 4 rooms. I thought she meant a man should be content with a small one. She set the broom against the wall and looked at me the way grandmothers do, straight into the years ahead of you. "The rooms are not the house," she said. I carried that saying for almost 80 years, the way you carry a key you cannot find the door for. But first, I must be honest about the 12 wrong doors I tried it in. Have you ever carried a truth for decades before you could read it? The first place I looked was a bigger house. I was 41. We had saved for years, and we moved into a house with 6 rooms and a hallway long enough to hold an echo. That first night I turned on every lamp and waited for the ache to be gone, because surely a man with more rooms has more life to put in them. Here is what took me 20 years to learn. An ache has more space to answer back in a big house. Have you ever called into a small cave and then a great one? The great cave does not answer you kinder, it answers you louder. My children filled those rooms for a while, and the noise helped. But noise is not the thing itself, and it is further down my list, so I will come back to it. It was a good house, and I am not sorry we bought it. I looked for the missing thing in every one of its rooms. It was in none of them. What house are you still waiting to feel at home in? Before I give you the second place, let me set something down beside you. I wrote a small book called The Native Way, and I set the 12 places down in it, and others like them. So many of you have written to me asking how to begin, where an old man keeps the things he has learned, so he does not talk himself out of them by spring. If your heart wants it, there is a link in the description below and in the first comment. Read one teaching and sit with it overnight. No pressure at all. I will be right here by this fire whether you open it or not. I wrote it down because I knew myself. What I did not set down, I would go on shopping for in rooms I did not need. Now, the second place. And this one shames me a little less, because nearly every man I ever knew looked there too. The second place I looked was money set aside. I do not mean riches. I never had riches. I mean the quiet arithmetic of a careful man, the envelope in the drawer, the account whose number was supposed to say, "You are safe now, you can stop listening for the ache." My grandfather said money is a good dog for errands and a poor one for company, and I nodded at that saying for 50 years, without once taking its meaning for a walk. I counted my savings the way another man counts beads, and the number grew, and the ache did not shrink, not by 1 cent. A full woodpile warms the house. It does not warm the man standing outside it. And I was standing outside my own life, holding the ledger like a coat. Have you ever had the number you prayed for and found the prayer still unanswered? The third place was being needed. I volunteered for everything, every committee, every repair, every favor, because a needed man has no empty hours to hear himself in. But a bucket with a crack in it can carry water all day and hold none by evening, and that was me. Busy for everyone, full for no one, least of all myself. And the fourth place rode on the third's back, the way it always does, staying busy. I filled every hour so the quiet could not get a word in. Projects, errands, the radio on from morning to night. My grandmother had a rocking chair she loved, and it moved all day long and traveled nowhere. That was my whole life, written in one old chair. Movement is not the same as arriving. I was 63 years old before I let myself learn the difference. The fifth place is the one that embarrasses me most, my own children's approval. I shaped myself to be praised by my kids, bit back my opinions, agreed with their plans, smiled at choices that made no sense to me, because praise from your grown children falls like rain after a dry year. There was a man I knew named Eli, a good man, who kept a fruit tree beside his gate, and every passerby had an opinion about that tree, and Eli pruned it to please each one. A branch here for the neighbor, a limb there for his brother-in-law, until one winter he stood beside a bare, sorry shape that gave no fruit at all, not even for him. A tree pruned for other people's shapes feeds no one. I did that to myself for 30 years, and my children never even asked me to. That is the part that took the longest to admit. The sixth place was being right. Oh, I was good at it. I could win an argument the way a jay wins a thicket, the loudest bird there, driving everything else off branch by branch, and then sitting in the stillness wondering where everyone went. I won points against my brothers, against my wife, against men I no longer even remember, and every victory was supposed to feed the ache, and every one of them fed nothing. Being right is a meal that leaves you hungrier. I would give back every argument I ever won for one evening of the company they cost me. Is there an argument you won that you would trade back if you could? The seventh place was new things, the new truck, the new tools, the coat with the good lining. New snow covers the field, and for a day or two the whole world looks made over. But the field underneath is still the field, and my shine always wore off inside a week. The eighth place was the opposite road and the same mistake, the past. I spent whole winters inside old photographs, walking my own trail backward. A man who walks the trail backward sees everything except the step in front of him, and it was the step in front of me where my life was quietly happening, unfelt, while I visited years that could not feel me back. New things and old years, one promised the answer was ahead of me. One promised it was behind. It was in neither direction at all. The ninth place was noise. I told you I would come back to it. When the children were grown and the house went quiet, I filled the rooms with other people's voices. The television from morning until I slept, the radio in the kitchen, anything, so my own thoughts could not be heard. Crows at a feeder make a tremendous racket, and the yard sounds full and the songbirds stay away and nothing is sung at all. That was my house, full of voices, singing nothing. The ache does not mind noise, you know. Noise is its favorite hiding place because a man cannot hear a whisper over a crowd. And the ache, I finally learned, had been trying to whisper something to me all along. I will tell you what it was saying, but not yet. The 10th place was other people's troubles. I was the man you called, the roof, the truck, the fence, the marriage. There was a man named Samuel who lived up the valley from me, and Samuel mended every fence in that valley for 40 years. Everyone's gate swung true but his own. His own gate hung from one hinge for a decade, and he stepped around it every single morning on his way to fix somebody else's. I watched him do it for years and never once saw myself. Fixing the valley is a fine way to never go home. Every trouble I solved for someone else was one more hour I did not have to sit in my own kitchen and ask what was wrong there. Were their troubles real? They were. Was my help real? It was. That is what makes it such a clever hiding place. Nobody thinks to look for you where you are doing good. The 11th place was work past the season of work. I never let my hands retire. When the job ended, I found chores. And when the chores ended, I invented them. Because a working man does not answer questions from an ache. The old ones knew something about the land that I refused to know about myself. A field that is never allowed to lie fallow stops giving and calls its exhaustion loyalty. I called mine loyalty too. It was fear wearing a good name. A man who will not rest is not strong. He is only afraid of what will speak to him in the stillness. And something was waiting to speak to me. It had been waiting a long time, and the 12th place, the one the other 11 were walking toward, was someday. Someday I will sit on the porch all morning. Someday I will write the letters. Someday when things settle, when the work is done, when I have earned it, I will go and live inside my own life. I kept a someday box, my friend, and I put 40 years in it. And someday is a horizon. It walks with you as far as you walk toward it, and no closer. Then last winter, at that kitchen table with my list, I finally heard what the ache had been whispering the whole time. It was never telling me that something was missing out there. It was homesickness. Homesickness for my own life. The missing thing was not a thing at all. It was me. Me, sitting inside my own days. I had been everywhere except where I was for 70 years. The ache was not a curse. It was a compass. It had been pointing me home the whole time, and I had been using it as a shopping list. I stopped looking, and I started arriving. The coffee, I tasted it. The rain on the window, I watched it all the way down the glass. And my grandson laughed in the next room last week, and for the first time in his life, I actually heard him. Now hear this next part clearly, because it is the part I got wrong for 70 years. Counting these 12 places was never the same as hating myself for them. Do you hear the difference? Every one of them was a man doing his best with the map he had. The bigger house was love. The savings were care. The volunteering, the work, the mended fences. Those were a good man's instincts walking in the wrong direction, that is all. I did not write my list on the back of that seed catalog to beat myself with it. I wrote it the way a man walks a riverbank looking for the crossing. Every place the water ran too deep taught him where it was shallow. Nothing was wasted, not 1 year. Even the searching taught me where it was not, and that is knowledge a man can only earn the long way. And here is the strange mercy of it. An ache that was pointing home all along does not abandon you when you finally arrive. It quiets. It sets down its pack beside your door, like a dog that has walked you home, and it rests. Mine rests now. Have you been calling your own compass a curse? It might be worth listening to instead. So let me gather up my 12 places and lay them before you now, the way my grandmother laid out the corners of her weaving when the day's work was done. A bigger house, money set aside, being needed, staying busy, my children's approval, being right, new things, the past, noise, other people's troubles, work past its season, and someday, 12 places, my friend, and the missing thing was in none of them, because it was never out there. It was here. It was me, missing from my own days. And now I must turn it toward you, because this fire was never only for warming me. Where have you been looking? What room are you still waiting to feel at home in? What someday have you been walking toward, that walks away at exactly your speed? Maybe you are sitting there asking, is it too late for me? I have looked too long, you are thinking. I am too old. Hear an old man who looked for 70 years. Nothing is lost. Your life did not go anywhere. It is still warm, and it is still yours. And it has been waiting for you with the patience of a dog by the door. The coffee, the rain, the voices in the next room, all of it, right where you left it. You do not have to find your life. You only have to come home to it. It is not too late. You are here now, and here is the whole of it. I would like to hear from you now. Of these 12 places, which one have you looked in the longest? Tell me in the comments below. I read every one, and these old hands answer as many as they can. And if this fire warmed you, stay a while. Sit with me again tomorrow. There is more I have to tell you, and the coffee is already on. Until then, go easy, and come home to your own days. They have been waiting for you a long time.